I always had this mantra, even in high school, I want to become successful by making other people successful. I think when you're sort of doing what you love, it's easy, and it has been sort of go this year, but I've absolutely loved everything that I'm involved with. And I think when people actually understand how we are so magnificently created, we're so different, each of us, and we've been given different skills and gifts, and we don't actually need to compete with anybody. We're each here for a different purpose.
This is Lee, Motivationalee.
Right, Steph. I just want to know, like, we've already been in communication for the past few months right now. I'm just curious, what's keeping you busy, and like brief background on what you normally do on your day-to-day activities.
So my days are quite varied because I wear a number of different hats. So 3 days a week I'm building business networking groups around Australia with a values base. So people in business that want to really make a difference and have values both instilled in their business and really see their businesses as a platform to make a difference in society. That's 3 days a week. And I run emerging leaders programs as well for people in business that might want to grow their business to the next level, or maybe they're at the start of their business journey and they want to turn an idea into action.
Oh, wow.
And I've also just launched a travel company to Ireland, Scotland and Wales. My heritage is from Ireland. My grandma was Irish, so I'm just absolutely so excited about launching this travel company to take people over to experience the Celtic heritage. They might have Celtic heritage themselves, or they might just want to explore that part of the world.
That's really awesome. Do you have time to sleep as well? It seems like you're full on,
Yeah.
And do you have time to breathe in between?
Yeah.
Like, wow, 3 days, you have 7 days, you're doing different hats, you're, wearing different hats. That's good.
Yeah, I think when you're sort of doing what you love, it's easy, and it has been sort of go this year, but I've absolutely loved everything that I'm involved with, and I love doing keynote speaking in between, because I think that doing the speaking engagements really gives an ability to make a difference and inspire different audiences.
Definitely. And women can multitask, sorry for the men, but all of us can multitask, but I can understand where you're coming from. You're trying to balance everything, and exactly what you said, if you love the things that you do, you don't feel stressed. You just feel like you keep going even if the world says stop. But if you're doing the things that you don't really love doing, you feel like you're drained, and there's stress at all. So if you're passionate on something, you must be like loving what you do, and it's very important.
I sort of feel sad when I see people that might be in the wrong positions, or the wrong, the wrong tasks, or the wrong job role even, because they might feel like they're failing or they're no good at what they're doing, but actually it's just the wrong environment, and it's not engaging all of their beautiful gifts and skills that they have to offer, and that sort of really disturbs me. So I love working with people to help them in the emerging leaders programs as well, just find their strengths and really explore what positions and what roles excite them and would allow them to play to their strengths, because it can be a complete game changer for people to discover that, and then to get clarity around, okay, what do they actually want to be doing and how they can contribute.
Exactly. You need to align as well with their purpose and your purpose.
That's
and you
right.
walk together.
Yeah.
And at the end of the tunnel, you'll see like, wow, there's a light there, and there's really, there's an opportunity to grow and endless possibilities, which is really good.
That's
and it's
right.
an important role for us as well to do.
Yeah.
So we make sure that, there's that right energy that comes through in between the lines, and you can really meet halfway, which is really good. Now, I just want to ask about the 7 women.
Yeah.
Why 7 women? Can you expound on that?
I titled my organisation 7 Women. Actually, in the beginning it was called Blessed Life, and that began when I was 19, my first trip to a developing country in Nepal. So I wanted to visit a developing country because I always had this desire in my heart. Even in high school, I wanted to help the poor and help people that were less fortunate. So I came across a an opportunity to volunteer in Nepal with the Duke of Edinburgh. So I went across on the tour with the Duke of Ed, and met on that trip. Well, I got asked back to lead groups of architects then after that to go and build facilities in developing communities, and learnt a lot about community development, you know, in that context, because we had these groups of people that had designed certain structures that didn't quite fit in these communities that were sort of, you know, 10-hour hikes up huge mountains, and at the time we didn't really have any translators, so it was a bit of a disaster in that respect. But yeah, learnt and got passionate about how do we make a real difference in these countries. So on the back of one of those trips, I met 7 women just by chance. I saw a woman walking down the back streets of Kathmandu and saw her carrying 2 heavy bags and struggling, and she was physically disabled. So I sort of followed her for a minute or so, and she turned into a tiny tin shed, and in that tin shed were 6 other women. So these 6 other women were all physically disabled, and they were actually making candles, handmade candles. So they had a big sort of wok or pot over an open flame, and they were burning the wax, melting the wax, and they were pouring it into these ancient looking stainless steel candle makers. And that's what they were doing for their income, which to me at the time it really inspired me, because it was quite enterprising, because there were 10 to 12 hour electricity cuts at the time in Kathmandu. So everyone needed to buy these candles again and again. And to give light to the shops and the... So that's how the name came about. Originally it was Blessed Life, because growing up I just had a real sense of, wow, I'm really blessed, because I'm in a family that, you know, I've got a roof over my head. My mum and dad, you know, we had a sort of a strong family unit, and I was aware that there were poor people in the world, or people that came from difficult backgrounds, and I wanted to make a difference. So and then when I was doing market stalls and things and selling the products that the women had made, people kept coming up to me saying, is this a religious organisation? And I thought, no, I don't really want people to think that. So I changed it to 7 Women, which came from there being 7 women in the tin shed.
That's really good. And it's good that you are really focused on making a difference, right? And going to a third world country, as we speak right now. What inspired you to go there and look for some maybe adventure at the same time, but particularly establishing or starting this 7 Women? And what are some big challenges that you have experienced, you know, in the process of organizing 7 Women?
I think I'm not sure, but I believe we're each created with dreams and desires in our heart. And for me, that was, I always had this mantra, even in high school, I want to become successful by making other people successful. So for as long as I can remember, I've been so curious about human behaviour, and also wanting to make a difference in people's lives that were less fortunate. So that's what inspired me to go on that trip to Nepal. And I didn't really mind where I went. I just wanted to go somewhere I thought, if I'm going to be able to make a difference in people's lives, I want to experience, like, how do the poor live, and what's the problems, and how can I be of help? It's like, I think we're all sort of on that search in life about, what are my skills, who am I, what's my purpose, what am I meant to be achieving in my life? And for me, I knew that it was that I wanted to help people, but I didn't know how. Like, I didn't know in what way can I be of benefit, but I knew that I needed to understand or do some experiences to sort of start exploring that. So for me, that's why I went to Nepal. And it wasn't until I went back on the second trip, and some people call it chance, but I've always believed everything happens for a reason. So I came across this woman, and I met these 7 women, and I just felt really compelled to do something to help. I didn't know what that was, but I wanted to... It was really sad for me to hear their stories, and hear that because they were disabled, that their whole communities had sort of shunned them and basically said, you're a waste of space. And I remember one of the women was hidden in the back room of her house because her parents didn't want any of the community to know that they had a disabled child, because in Nepal there's a cultural belief that it's bad luck, you know, if you associate with a disabled person. So that's that's what it inspired me initially to take action, that sense of sort of social justice.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how I could help, but I remember walking to the nearest internet cafe and calling my mum and saying, "Mum, I've just met these 7 women. They're living in this like tiny tin shed in the dirt. Do you think I can make a difference? Do you think one person can make a difference?" And because I honestly didn't know, and my mum said, "You know, go for it. You'll be able to make a small difference."
I like your values. You've been brought up nicely by your parents. I'm sure they're very proud of you of what you have already accomplished this time, you know, making a difference to the world and creating a huge impact. Having said that, have you still, before I ask you about the impact of 7 women on the communities that you are serving right now, I wanted to ask you, are some big challenges that you think, you know, that you have experience in organizing the 7 women that you can remember?
Yeah, so many huge challenges with building an organisation in a country like Nepal. There's sort of barriers everywhere that you look, and you know, a lot of corruption and lots of sort of asking for bribes and things like that. And somehow we never had to pay a bribe, which was an absolute miracle in my opinion, because I know at every corner there's sort of a request for a bribe. So there were so many challenges throughout the journey of building this 7 women organisation. I was working with 7 women, building it for 17 years. So I think the most disappointing challenges, or the one that sort of affected me the most, was the sort of matters of the heart, when you've really entrusted people in different positions and they might let you down, or they might be, you know, dishonest or like shifty behaviour and that sort of thing. I think the second major challenge of running the charity was 2 different worlds, right? So Nepal and Australian people that were maybe donating or supporting in different ways, and we had up to 150 people visiting our centre every day from around the world. They were coming to do cooking classes and buy the products, because we had 3 different businesses: manufacturing business, cooking school and a guest house. So we used to have a lot of people coming through, and they used to have different ideas of how they wanted to help, and sometimes ideas of how people want to help may not always be helpful to the local people. So we had a lot of those situations where it actually helped us create offerings that were really helpful to the local women, because our model was all about empowerment and building up the women's skills so they could make an income for themselves. We didn't want people to be giving handouts, because that actually encourages an attitude of entitlement. So we created offerings such as a cooking class, or staying at our boutique hotel, or buying one of our fair trade products, and that really helped with that particular challenge.
Wow, that's really good. At least, you know, you never gave up on anything, because you were really focused on that vision to really help this, you know, women, not just from 7 women, but, you know, the history itself. And look at you now, you know, you're able to continue to empower other women in different parts of the world. Well done. Now, how do you measure impact of 7 women on the communities that you serve? And do you remember any success stories that have stood out to you?
Sure, yeah, I think we measured the impact by both numbers of how many people were reaching, but also the quality of that engagement and transformation in people's lives. So I think you sort of need both, because people can be very quick to try and get numbers, but actually numbers sometimes don't matter without
True.
the other measurement. So we just saw so many women come through, and their lives were transformed by being able to earn an income, or their confidence by being with other women in the villages. And so yeah, our numbers were sort of always rough and fluid, and we probably benefited a lot more than 5,000 women over the 17 years, but people love numbers. So that was sort of, you know, because all those 5,000 women, they have families and flow-on effects and things like that. But what I really care about the most is just, has it increased the women's confidence to step out, you know, and learn new skills and earn an income and be truly empowered. And about 10 years into that 7 women journey, I was questioning that, you know, the women now have money, they're now able to send their children to school, they can eat more meat, which is, you know, what more wealthy families enjoy. But was it actually transforming their mind and their mentality as well? Because I noticed that even though women had benefited greatly, sometimes they still had the same mindset and there was still bickering or, this is mine. And I thought, wow, that is, there's a missing link.
What do you think would be the missing link at this time?
So, I realised that it was, that transforming of the mind. So without, money's one thing and the material needs, but it was really for me like a spiritual aspect of renewing the mind and connecting them to their creator and giving them hope and just sort of a new, bigger perspective, so they weren't niggling over silly things or getting jealous of each other
things, right?
or competing or things that they didn't actually need to be doing, because now they had enough and they so that was an interesting point that we came to with the charity.
It's interesting as well, because these are the things that sometimes ruins the community, the envy, the competition, all that, which is kind of negative attributes as well. I think whatever regions you go to, whatever countries you go to, there are something like that as well, all this negativity around them, and that really poison the mind of anyone, especially with a fixed mindset. And you're right, having a great mindset, I guess would help them move forward and achieve something, something greater.
That's right, and I think that really comes from an identity crisis within the individual. And
you think so?
This cup here says, "For we are God's masterpiece," which is a quote from the Bible. And I think when people actually understand how we are so magnificently created, we're so different, each of us, and we've been given different skills and gifts, and we don't actually need to compete with anybody, because it's like a bit silly to compete, because we're each here for a different purpose. And it's like something that really inspires me is each of our voices inspire a different group of people. So you could be speaking to the same group and they may not be motivated, but if they hear me they might be, or vice versa. I could speak to a group and it sort of goes straight over their head, or you could stand up and speak and they could be like, wow, because we've each got a unique voice,
gift as well.
And even just that's and I believe that's sort of wrong on a macro scale. That's what's wrong with the world, that too many of us are lost. We're a bit lost. We don't know our true identity, and we're trying to be another person that we're not, or we're trying to compete with someone that we're actually not created to be like that. We're created to be ourselves. And the more we can sort of step into that authenticity of who we are and know who we are, that's great strength that we've got right there to actually and for me, that missing link was sort of on my journey at the same time. I felt that I'd given, that was 10 years into the charity, so I felt like I'd given everything I could, but there were still these little challenges amongst the women, and I was thinking, like, what is there more for my life? Like, am I going to be doing this in Nepal for the rest of my life, or is, so I felt a missing link within myself, because I was feeling like, what's next for me, and why is this, so then I thought, maybe it's knowledge. So I went to Sweden to do a master's in peace and conflict research, and I thought, if I know more, then I'll be able to make more of a difference, and it will. But after I studied in Sweden for 2 years, I realised that actually that's not it either. That missing link for me was just my faith, like really stepping into my faith and knowing, like, just who we're created to be and what our purpose here is here on earth. And I'd sort of, I'd always believed in God because my grandma was an Irish Catholic and a really strong woman of faith, and she used to pray, and I sort of, she made faith real to me because she lived it. She was generous in spirit, she was loving, she was kind, that unconditional love, that the Bible talks about. So around that time that my grandma passed away, which was when I was in Sweden, I really was grieving a lot because of the loss of my granny, and I didn't know how to get my joy back and my energy for life. Like, I couldn't, no matter what I did. I tried so many things, and I thought, I feel so flat. And so I remember calling a friend, Ricky Rumbiak, who's from West Papua, and he came here and we were sort of friends, and he was really struggling to fit in here because he was didn't speak English, broken English, and he was really struggling to sort of make friends, and he started drinking and smoking and going out to the nightclubs, and he just couldn't really find where he fit in this society. And it was sad for me as his friend to see him decline like that. And I remember on his 24th birthday party, I think it was, his whole community, I was there as well, and he got really drunk, and I just felt so sad for him, like, oh, he's such a good person and he's got such a good heart, but he's really struggling. And he actually had an encounter, an experience where he saw Jesus in his bedroom, and he shared it with me. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting, but I was busy at the time building my charity, so I didn't take too much notice. But then when I was in Sweden 4 years later and I was really struggling, I thought, who do I call? Who do I share this with? And how can I... So I thought of Ricky, and I rang Ricky and I said, Ricky, how do I pray? How do I connect to God? Because I didn't know. How do you pray? Like, is there anyone out there? Are they going to, like, is God going to hear?
Would he be talking back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Ricky said something like, just, I think he said, the Bible says, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you.
Yeah.
So I just said, he goes, just ask God, if you're real, show me. So I did that, and yeah, to be honest, I didn't get any big encounter or anything like that Ricky had immediately, but I saw God brought incredible people into my life that really helped me bring me back to life. And then down the track, I have had amazing visions of Jesus when I've asked for them, and it's really transformed my life, and as the Bible says as well, renewed my mind to see the bigger picture, and just really knowing our identity in who we are created to be. And then you become unstoppable.
Yes, definitely.
Because you don't care what people think, and you don't care about what other people are doing. You don't get caught up on little things, and you're not going to waste your time arguing or bickering over little things.
That's right.
You've got your sights set on bigger things, and you want to make a difference.
Yeah, and you know yourself better more than anyone else. And funny that you've mentioned about faith being authentic or genuine, and the identity itself. Whilst I was driving on my way here, I was talking to someone about faith being genuine, the authenticity, and just being, the identity itself. I don't know why this energy is really like the two of us. We were just talking a while ago, right before this actually filming is actually ongoing, before it actually started. And it's nice I'm having goosebumps as well. It's nice that our energy is aligning. Because whilst I was driving on my way here, I was like thinking about, it's very important to know yourself, the identity. And it starts with faith. Whatever religion you are into at the moment, right now. And if there's a self-reflection and self-discovery, you'll able to learn and identify what's your purpose in life. Am I doing the right thing? Am I really happy with what I'm doing? Is this the right thing for me to do? Is this the best thing for me to do? Is this the right path for me? There's so many questions that actually, like banging your brain cells, like, hang on, you need to pause, reflect, and praying, whoever your God is, is really important. Have your moment by yourself, and maybe think about what's the best thing to do in the coming years. What is my goal? What is my vision? And if I really want to make a difference, I have to do this and that, A to Z, right? So these were the things that I was like discussing with a friend of mine today. And thinking about authenticity as well. You will really feel if the person is authentic, genuine. You can feel that energy. Some people are there just to please you because it's just part of the conversation. But you would really feel how genuine they are because of the things that they've already done from the past and even for the present. That they don't care what other people would say. They don't care about how they're being judged. It's because you want to make a difference. Because whatever you do in life, even if you've done the most exciting part, the best thing in life to other people, But if someone or some people doesn't like you, they're not here to cheer you up. They're not here to lift you up. They're here to destroy you. So that's what I've learned in my journey to making a difference like you.
Amazing.
So
yeah.
it's
and to never take it personally, because it actually means nothing about you if people come as your adversaries. It's more about them than you. So and it's interesting what you were saying about. I think like I try never to, but I don't judge people, because I think we're living in a tough world that is really encouraging people to think that they are their own God.
Yeah.
And I actually think that's really damaging to human nature, because the reality is like we are nothing really. We can't do anything without the help of God, or we're talking about divine timing and things like that, where you can pursue a goal for like years and never get anywhere, and you're just like, why is this business not building, or why is no one
working?
And then all of a sudden God can make something happen, and it is prosperous.
Definitely.
So it's
perfect timing.
So I think the more we think we are our own heroes, and it sort of feeds ego in a really unhealthy way, and all it takes is one person to say something, or to for someone to be fired, or and then they've lost their whole identity. If you're chasing positions or titles, if you don't know who you are, then it's sort of like I'm getting a picture of a big tree with deep roots. Because the winds come and you're not blown away, you're not knocked down. You actually are just firmly rooted, and you go, okay, you trust, and you're sort of like, all right, I'm ready for the next thing.
Definitely, yeah. Just look at our situation right now, the social responsibility, social media and all that. People expect something for one person to another, for Stephanie and myself, something like that, for example. But we can only do what we can do. We can't please everyone. We're not here to compete with each other. We're not here to compete with other people. We're here to empower people, right? We have our own purpose and all that. But people sometimes, they try to destroy you because they don't like you, as I said. But whatever they say, we know ourselves. We have our own identity. We know what we want. We know where we're heading at. We know our vision, and we focus on that. It doesn't define at all what they say. They're busy competing. They're busy destroying other people. And people like us and other people who are into the positive, I call it planet, we focus on growing whilst they focus on destroying. That's what I always say. And as long as we're genuine,
that's right.
And we are really authentic in our purpose on helping other people or making a difference to the world, we just keep going, even if the world even if the world says stop.
I think people in general need a lot of love, like and
what the world needs,
more love. But even more so, people that are like that, unfortunately, because if you're happy with yourself, you never have to treat others like that. And I often think to myself, God is, because I've had all the international awards, and I've been on the red carpet tours to Bahrain and Estonia, and the UN, speaking at the UN and receiving some of these big awards. And at the time I thought, wow, this is like, it gives you a rush, and it makes you think wow, we've sort of made it in a way. Do you know what I mean? This is a great opportunity. But I know, because I've sort of spoken on lots of global stages and things, and had the best time doing it, but I know that doesn't make happiness. It doesn't give you happiness if you're
material
if you're relying on those things, or acknowledgement and awards and things like that. It's sort of an empty to chase that continually. It's empty. So and I often think if God's looking down, thinking what he loves the most is those tiny little moments when you see someone being kind to another person, or kind to a stranger, and just sharing a bit of love. That's probably way more important in his eyes than winning an award or
Definitely,
making an
yeah.
impressive post on, tagging everybody, and
I know.
yeah.
And I know we're here to inspire other people. I'm not just talking about ourselves, but other people who
Yeah.
are making a difference in the
Yeah.
world. The awards that we've both, achieved in the past,
Yeah.
it's like a symbol of like winning moments, but it doesn't really change anyone. But some people, they choose to change.
Yeah,
It's because I think it's part of growing for them. But in other people who has, I said, they know their identity, they have that great faith, whoever their God is, and able to understand their purpose in life and connecting with the right people. For them, awards is good, it's man-made, but it also inspires other people that, hey,
That's
if we
right,
can do it, you can do it as well.
Yeah.
I think you can use that kind of level in a different, you can carry it in a different
100%,
way,
yeah. And I'm
100%,
all
yeah.
for awards. I think awards are awesome, and I
Yeah.
love
Yeah,
acknowledging
definitely.
people, and because
Yeah.
that's how we build each other up. We have to
Yeah.
encourage each other, because
Yeah.
there's a lack of encouragement out there in the world. So I think awards are just one way that you can really encourage someone and build them up and help them sort of gain that momentum to build what they're trying to build.
Definitely, and it shouldn't be a way of competing other people. Like, hey, I've got awards now, so I'm better than you. It shouldn't be like that, right? But the good thing is, if you have a good mindset and humility and authenticity, you use that accolade as an empowerment and inspiration to other people, and not to compete, but to collaborate. That's why we're here, right? Both of us, Stephanie and Lee, are here because we want to walk together, creating that beautiful memories, and apart from inspiring other people, but we're aligning our purpose. And for me, if I work with someone, collaborating with someone, I don't just collaborate. I want to make sure that we align our purpose so that we can make people happy. Because, we're not getting any younger. Age is just a number, but life is too short to be more, envious or negative. What we need to do is really work together and walk together where our passion meets our purpose.
That's right. And because we have different skills and giftings, we actually need each other, because
Yes.
the older I get, the more I realise how much I fall short in different areas. It's like I have no patience for like tech, for example, or
Same here.
so there's and some people are fantastic at that. We actually really need each other to succeed. We can't do it on our own. We can get so far on our own, but we actually need others to input. And like the more I sort of the more I pursue bigger visions for myself, the more I realize, far out, I'm going to need some serious help with this, because this is huge.
Definitely.
So.
Like this year, I was thinking of words like collaboration, complementing. It's very important, right?
Yeah.
Than doing it on my own because I'm better, or you're feeling threatened because she's got an award, I have an award, I should be the first one to do this, so that people would think that I'm better than her or something, or better than him. This year, I realized as we grow, as we progress our age, not older, but as we progress our age, we value that wisdom that God has given us. That we're here to empower, inspire, and motivate other people. That's why my platform, Motivationalee, is always there to inspire, motivate, and create an impact. And as you have said, it's all about the energy. We were talking about this energy a while ago. It actually magnetizes people, even if you feel like maybe the first year of our business together, for example, it wasn't working. You've mentioned a while ago. But as time went by, you are attracting the right people at the right time, for the right reason, at the right place, at the right situation. And when you look back, you feel like, you know what, that was me before. I had so many doubts. I was so hesitant to move forward because people might judge me. But you know why? I know now my identity. I know my purpose. I know I can do this, maybe in a different way, but I grow one day at a time. So I keep going, even if the world says stop.
And you're fantastic at that, shining light on other people. And
Thank you.
Even these podcasts and everything that you're about is really drawing out those gifts and, you know, encouraging others and telling their story and, yeah, just shining light on others, which we, you know, if you think about just in life in general, not many people get positive feedback on a continual basis. So it's really beautiful to be able to actually have people's stories told, and just for the younger generations as well, to actually have leaders that they see in different forms, expressed in different ways, to see, oh, I can do that, or I can do that. But if we don't have any examples of leaders in our community, then it's really hard to even imagine what you could be.
Definitely,
so that ability to, what you're doing, basically interviewing different people and really believing in people's visions, it's such important work, because then others can see, oh, maybe I can do that.
Yes, thank you so much. And whenever I sit with someone who's a visionary, a leader, it could be an ex-CEO or something that has carrying a greater vision for other people, I am really excited, because I feel like every time I sit with someone, I am growing and learning, which is really good. And for me, that's very important, so that I can share this as well to other people that I meet every day. So it's very important. So this podcast, the Frontier podcast series, is really significant for me.
Amazing.
And as what we have mentioned, what we're talking behind the scene, right? Like, I have vision for this, you know, for other people out there. Like, if you can do it, I can do it, you can also do it. Any time of the day, as long as you believe that you can achieve. It's very important. Now, talking about this, right? Have you already experienced negative feedback, and how did you handle this?
Funny question, because I sort of feel like in my life, of course I've had negativity, but I sort of have not noticed it sometimes. Like, sometimes people will say to me, did you hear what that person said, or did you hear what that person just did? And I'll be like, no, what did I do? So I don't know. I think sometimes God protects me from it in some way. But I've definitely had people, times where I have known, and for some reason, you know, in my journey, I've always just had this knowing that it's not personal. Do not take it personally, because there's a reason why they're behaving like that, and it's coming from a hurt place or a place that's got nothing to do with me. So, but I always first check myself. You know, if someone says something that sort of, I think, oh, is there a bit of truth in that? Can I improve? Can I grow from this?
Yes.
Then I will always make that the first question.
Yes.
Is this an opportunity for me to grow?
Yes.
But if I feel like it's coming from something that's actually, then forget it.
Yeah.
And and just keep going.
True.
Because if you do have a big vision, and you do, you know, if you're really about other people and making a difference and making change, you will 100% get opposition. The more we read the good stuff, or the more we put the good stuff in our funnel, in our mind, the more we will become like that, and we'll actually not get caught up in that worldly stuff that can drag us down.